Chairman, and thank you, Ranking Member Capito, for uh, hosting this hearing. And Senator Kramer and I have been sitting here proud of our two states and their leadership in carbon capture, utilization, and storage. There's been a lot of forward thinking in your state, mine, from policy leaders, the University of Wyoming School of Energy Resources, the Wyoming Energy Authority, have been involved with you all in North Dakota, and you're making real, genuine progress. Substantive goals are being met. Thank you for that. So my first question is for Mr. Harju. Thank you for your testimony. I understand from Dr. Holly Krutka at the University of Wyoming that in a few days we'll be calling you Dr. Harju, so congratulations on that. I want to focus on one aspect of CCUS with my questions, and that's geological storage. Mr. Harju, you mentioned in your testimony one of the challenges to expanding geological storage is the complicated legal and regulatory regime around pore space ownership and long-term stewardship. So can you talk a little more about what North Dakota and Wyoming have done to address these challenges, particularly around long-term stewardship?
Thank you for the question, Senator Lummis. Yes, North Dakota and Wyoming have had a wonderful working relationship for a long period of time, and I'm delighted to call Dr. Kruk a friend and colleague. And our states have shared our experiences over time and copied one another's successes and avoided one another's misses. So anyway, it's always been a pleasure. So with respect to long-term liability, North Dakota established a long-term liability trust fund because of concerns that companies may not be around in perpetuity, and the fact that a trust fund would be a reasonable way to manage any long-term stewardship associated with CCS projects. So the way that this works in the state of North Dakota is companies pay into this trust fund over the life of their project, and the fee is set administratively. And based on it, essentially, you could almost contemplate it like a state-run insurance fund. Is the way I would look at it. In North Dakota, after a 10-year post-closure monitoring period where the site is carefully monitored at the expense of the project developer and operator, the state is authorized to take title to that injected CO2. I believe the similar program in Wyoming has chosen a post-closure monitoring period of 20 years as the default.
Well, thanks for your explanation. I think this is part of the example of the forward thinking that's going on in expanding geologic storage. So, you know, good on you, good on our states, and proud of the work you're doing. So my next question is for all witnesses. Should the CEQ support expediting CCUS permitting as a way to encourage and support carbon capture?
So I think there are always opportunities to be more efficient in permitting, and I think CEQ and its guidance laid out some opportunities on how we can do that by regional approaches and other tools that they have. I think that has to also be balanced with making sure we're doing thorough reviews and getting strong community engagement in those reviews so that we get good outcomes at the end of the process. So I think we can achieve both, and I think that's the right direction to go.
I agree very much with Mr. Albritton's comments. I think that, again, that coordination and communication, both from all federal agencies with the states, is absolutely essential to moving these projects forward. These permits are extremely labor-intensive. We understand that the modeling and the geophysical aspects for Class 6 is some of the most extensive that's out there right now. So having folks at the table working together is absolutely essential. So, yes, thank you very much.
I would concur. I would especially urge the federal government to work toward a responsible means of permitting and accessing federal pore space. It's a really big issue as you get to the west, and For instance, in Senator Lummis's state, roughly half of the state is under federal pore space ownership. And right now, I do not see a means of accessing federal pore space to do these kinds of projects. So when we see federal pore space on the map in North Dakota as we contemplate projects, we step away from it because we just see it as more of a risk factor than an opportunity.
Yeah, great point. Thank you all for your testimony.